Kevin, just explain what's happening here today.
Okay, so today is a launch of a human performance program which looks at mental health and how it affects how we behave as people in our personal lives and in our professional lives.
You mentioned professional lives. How important is it to raise awareness of mental health, particularly in football?
Oh, it's so important because the environment's so intense, especially in this day and age where from a young age you're giving so much more. You're moving schools, not only embrace it from the moment I'm there, but also take it into their work so it continues throughout. And that is in the football clubs as well. So coaches now will look at why a player's behaving a certain way without casting a judgment, which then sends them spiraling into a worse place.
Because the physical injury is the one that you can see.
Yeah.
The mental one is the one that needs to be investigated and needs to have a conversation about, hence why you've got these particular specialists in football clubs now, right?
For sure, but I mean, as I said, sometimes we look at illness and we look at the extreme cases. We also don't pay attention to the low-level things, you know. People talk about, for example, drugs and sugar. Sugar is the silent killer. When you look at low-level anxiety and other low-surface-level problems that people have in football and outside, they're the ones that cause us problems. The limiting beliefs, the low self-esteem, the anxiety, all these things that play out. And in football, you have all these little...
With that in mind, perhaps then, why is there such a stigma? Because I think it still exists, doesn't it? Attached to mental health issues, and how do you overcome that?
The stigma's there because of generations before, so it's slowly dying out. We're having the conversation now. And I'm hoping that we'll progress past the conversation because the conversation is still providing a miseducation, as I said before, as in just talking about illness. But we can't just change the stigma like that. That generation's slowly dying out, and I think it is changing.
How far are we down the road now, do you think, though, where every player, every manager, every coach, every person involved in football who might have a mental issue can be open about it?
I think they can be. Not within that space. I feel that it depends on each club individually. I've worked at clubs where, you know, I had an under-23 manager say to me, my players can't speak because the gaffer's thinking, how is he going to manage in front of 50,000 people on a Saturday? If that's coming from the manager, that player definitely plays. I was the worst player and the best player within a year, and there was no extra training. It was because of the difference how I thought. My manager micromanaged me, and it really affected me, and it affected my game. And then because I realised, actually, I have no leg to stand on if I keep playing this way, and it's almost like I stopped caring about what he thought, and I played the best. So when I came out of football, it damaged my relationship with football. But when I came out of football, I couldn't find another passion, and now my passion is human behaviour. That's my new football in a way. So I feel like it's untapped, that arena, in terms of looking at how people perform and their hearts and minds. And because I've got my personal experience, and I listen to people like Jeremy, who's here today, speaking about training with the first team at Arsenal and like being scared. Jeremy's my age. I used to play against him when he was at Arsenal. He was unbelievable. He got bought, you know. And there's a guy saying to you, training with the first team at a young age. That's unbelievable. No one talks about this stuff. And on top of that, forget speaking about it. There's nothing to prepare you. When you go into full time, the training hits you so hard, but there should also be talks about the intensity in terms of emotionally what you come up against, and to prepare you when you train with the first team, what's going to happen. My first time at Charlton training with the first team, I think I just turned 17, and I passed the ball and I kept it, and the first team player said to me, give me the, I can't say the words, and my internal organs shook. And so we don't prepare players for this, and we don't help them and support them through it.
Do you think that's disappeared now?
That
attitude that you just talked about.
It's changing, but it's still in there. And I'll tell you why, because you still have those people in the game at a higher level, and they commentate on the game. I listen to some of the cases that come out where you get this coach bullied this player, and then I listen to the radio stations or the people that talk about it, and they say, oh, these players are soft, or I know this coach, he's this, and they make excuses and defend it. And I just think to myself, wow, we would not accept this behaviour in any other arena. But it's because it's all you know, because your limited knowledge and experience, it's all you know. Any conversation outside of that, you can't bring value to. So what you do is you want to keep everything in that space. That's the problem. And that's why I did the book. And that's why those players, their stories prove a point and show the world. If I just wrote it, if I just wrote it, people could say, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. You have 45 footballers from around the world and across generations saying, this is my opinion, this is my experience. And actually to add to that, in the leadership section, I had 6 footballers, young footballers who were seen as the best in the world. And I asked them, what do you need to flourish and be at your best? And even indirectly or directly, they said, I need my manager's support. That doesn't mean barking and being aggressive. Strategically, yes, you need that, you know, get you going. I get that. But if that's all you've got, then you need to serve up something better, especially in a professional environment for the human side. When you look at the Peps and the Wengers, they were bringing something different at how they were getting a response out of players. And that's the difference. Sir Alex Ferguson is seen as the best manager ever. And when you speak to players, like Quinton Fortune said in the book, it's because he tailored his approach to everybody. You know, he might feel that you can't handle the criticism, so he will shout at the person next to you and say, stop dribbling, because he wants you to stop dribbling. He's very strategic. But if I was a lazy coach, you know what I would say? Sir Alex Ferguson, he does the hairdryer. I won't do my extra research. And this is the problem, and we're bringing up players in this environment, you know, and we're bringing up families, because it damages families.